Good morning, Byron. How are you?
Good morning, Hugh. Doing well, thank you.
I had a question for David Drucker, and you normally listen, so I'm going to ask you, can Virginia become state eight? There are seven battlegrounds: Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona. Can Virginia be state eight?
Yes, I think it can. I listened to your conversation with David, and yes, I think it can. Um, I was really struck by the New York Times poll yesterday that was just of the three um, Sun Belt swing states, meaning Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. But it was they asked one of these questions: have Donald Trump's policies help you or hurt you? And have Kamala Harris's policies help you or hurt you? And in every state, nearly a 10 point, by nearly a 10-point margin, more people said that Trump's policies had helped them than said that Harris's policies that helped them. It's like the most basic question in the world. It's not even asking about income. It's not asking about any specific aspect of your life, but your whole life. And so my guess is that is true in Virginia as well. And so when you look at the polls, which would show, I think, Harris leading right now in Virginia, then you look at that question and you say, boy, I wonder how that's going to actually work out when it comes time to vote.
Byron, you know a lot more than I do about the science of polling, but I have read the Pew Research poll data on polling response bias. Turns out that older left-wing women are far more likely to answer the phone and talk at length to a pollster than young white men. So how do they fix that? I really do not know how you correct that.
Well, I'm not sure. I will say, and I'm not an expert in this either, but clearly after 2016 and then again after 2020, a lot of pollsters did a lot of kind of soul searching and trying to think.
Oh, we lost Byron. I don't know what happened there. This happened with You're back. Okay, go ahead, Byron.
Okay, I'll stand in the same place. A lot of pollsters after 2016 and 2020 did kind of a lot of soul searching, saying, how can we accurately find the Trump voter in the future? And so you have to think they're trying to do it better. I've for one, have been kind of interested in the New York Times Siena polls, which have shown, I think, more Trump voters than similar New York Times polls showed in 2016 and 2020. So, I mean, they're trying to fix this problem, but the problem that you said, which is that, look, they're just young men are just going to be less patient about spending time with pollsters, than someone retired is. I'm not sure you can actually fix that problem.
Byron York, every day I listen to the commentary podcast, every single day. And until Joe Biden dropped out, the leader of that band, John Podhoretz, would say, I can't believe how bad, meaning tactically and strategically, the Biden campaign is. They're not embracing victory for Israel. They're not embracing immigration reform. They're not doing anything. And then, of course, Biden drops out. They have not yet begun the same song, but I think I want to ask you, is it possible the Harris campaign is just run by bad campaign professionals? Because I think it's a nightmare for her to go to the border. I think that's really stupid because I know the old Chris Matthews line, hang a lantern on your problem, but going to the border is going to illustrate that she's never gone to the border. Then she's going to Wisconsin to give a speech on economics, so she's going to the northern border and she hasn't done any policy yet. These, to me, indicate that her own internal numbers are very, very bad on immigration and very, very bad on Wisconsin.
Well, I would push back a little bit. Yes, her numbers on immigration and the border are terrible. There's no doubt about it. We know that from public polls, and you have to assume that private polls are not going to be very different there. But don't go too far in this. Obviously, in all of the polling averages nationally, she's leading. And the one that I use, one I think the best, Real Clear Politics average at polls. She's up by 2.2%. Just had two really good national polls, one from NBC, one from CBS. And when you look at the swing state polls, she's leading in maybe 3 or 4 of them out of 7. They're all extremely tight. So you look at that. They look at that, and this is not a disaster. And also, if you look at the enthusiasm level of people who actually go to her rallies. Now, of course, that's a self-selected group. They're going to rallies, but boy, are they enthusiastic. It is sky-high enthusiasm for her, which is what people often feel when a terrible burden has been released, right? They feel happy. So that
it's a relief rally. Yeah. Now, there was a huge crowd
Absolutely.
for Trump yesterday in Pennsylvania, and he, of
There was.
course, if you extend my model, they go where they're worried. He's going to Pennsylvania, I think, because that's where you win. If he wins Pennsylvania, almost impossible for me to see how he wins. I want to throw another state aid at you. I'm in Maine. I'll be in Maine for a couple more weeks. We watch Hulu. The Hulu ads are all for Kamala Harris. Now, Maine is not up for grabs. Maine is going to be a Kamala Harris state. Why is she running ads in Maine? Because it includes northern New Hampshire, and there's no other way to get to northern New Hampshire. Have you been studying New Hampshire? Is that state aid?
I have not been studying New Hampshire, so I can't actually tell you about that. But what you're getting at is that are there some states that Trump lost in 2020 that he could pick up in 2024? And his way to victory is, first of all, got to win all the states that he won in 2020, and he won North Carolina in 2020. So if he lost that would be a really devastating blow. Got to win all the states he won in 2020. Then, if he picked up only Georgia and Pennsylvania, he would win. He gets to 270. But if he picks up Georgia and Arizona, and then he picks up Pennsylvania, that's a big win. If he picks up Nevada, that's only 6, doesn't help him a huge amount. So he's got to win one of these 3 Rust Belt states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin.
And he could win all 3. He could lose all 3. Byron, I gotta finish since you brought up North Carolina. Mark Robinson has gone down in flames. His whole team quit. This is a professional question. Democrats had John Edwards. He had terrible Oppo research on him. Then they nominated Cal Cunningham, another deeply flawed for personal reasons candidate, another Democrat. Now Mark Robinson, deeply flawed for personal characteristics. He's a Republican. Is there no professional opposition research in North Carolina?
What's going on in North Carolina? Listen, I agree. Robinson's a terrible candidate, has no business being a Republican nominee. Republicans have waited too long to act on the problem, so they can't actually get him off the ballot. It's kind of astonishing. And I mean, even before all the revelations that came around from CNN the last few days, he was a terrible candidate. You're right about John Edwards. He was but he was a one-term senator. He actually got elected, and then, in kind of a bad choice, he was chosen to be the vice presidential nominee of the Democratic Party in 2004. And he's been in exile until this recent Democratic convention, where he actually showed up. The ghost of campaign scandals past.
Okay, quick question on Mark Robinson. Andrew Kaczynski, the K-File at CNN, broke the story. Somebody gave him that story, right? Andrew Kaczynski's not running around porn sites trying to figure out who the black Nazi is. So I assumed at first that was the Democrats. Now I think it was the Republicans that take the sting out so that people would split their ticket, vote for Trump at the top and dump Robinson in the second. Just make sure it's in the cycle early and into the mix. What do you think? Was it GOP or Democratic Oppo research?
Actually makes sense. Depending on the timing, if this was not really a leak, but if somebody actually supplied some of this information to CNN, then you have to think, well, how long did CNN take reporting it and checking it out, which could have been quite a while. And my guess is that somebody gave the information to them long enough before the deadline to take him off the ballot and hoped that he could be taken off the ballot, and that would be a Republican.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And then they sat on it. Not and did another big scoop against the Democrats. I think he's a fine reporter. He goes after anyone that gives him good oppo. But that oppo came from somewhere, and I don't think it came from the Democrats. Stay tuned, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Thank you, Byron York. Follow him on X at Byron York.